Welcome to Creator Support, the channel where Welcome to Creator Support, the channel where Welcome to Creator Support, the channel where
Alrighty. There I am. Hello, hello. We are working them. Hello, hello. Oh, no, let's close me. I'm hearing that double. Alrighty. I have tested and tested and tested, and I'm pretty sure that we are going to work today. I'm very excited. Last week was a disaster. The week before, I don't remember. Oh, the internet like completely shit the bed. So we are here today, and I'm going to get right into the training before anything happens. So to set the stage here, where did my notes go? I've got the slides on one screen kind of looking right at you. I've got some notes. I have the streaming off to my right. So I will try my best to keep an eye on the chat, but I do have to have the slides on full screen so you will see them properly. All right, then let's get started. I will record this as well and hope that it doesn't slow anything down. So welcome today to the Unfck Your Operations live training. I ran this maybe back in May, and what I'm really excited about is I can reuse this. So far, I have been creating all of my new webinars and trainings new each time, and that doesn't help me get better each time. It takes forever. So I would love your feedback at the end. If you liked it, what your biggest takeaways were, maybe what you wished I would have covered a little bit more in depth. But this is an overview. Let's see, what would I call it? The playbook, if you will, it really covers maybe 8 or so different concepts and things that you can change or implement in your business. So I'm going to kind of zoom out to the biggest 3 themes that this covers. And these are really the things that we're going to discuss in the Ops Lab, which is the new community I created for service-based business owners, founders, and leaders. Because operations it's really a thankless job. I've run brick and mortar businesses. I've been a director of operations for agencies, and it's really a thankless job, operations. You're the first to get blamed when shit hits the fan, and when you're doing your job really, really damn well, nobody says anything because things just work smoothly. So to be in that kind of role, you really have to have the mentality of, I don't need recognition. I don't need a pat on the back. Just no news is good news, right? So I created the community where we can talk about operations and share struggles and share wins and talk about what kind of things we're dealing with and all support each other, because I haven't found a Facebook group that I love yet. It's all people trying to sell me their services. Subreddits are just garbage. I don't really find them helpful. So I want to create something where we can have conversations together and be with people who get it. So, excuse me. So that's the premise of the Ops Lab. The Ops Lab is a free membership to join, and then the Unfck Your Ops is the paid version, where we're going to have monthly challenges, weekly office hours with me, and more truly guided help. So let's get into the training. All right, let me make sure that this is all working. Present my screen. Let's switch my view over here. And as always, please ask questions. I will do my best to keep an eye on the chat, but As you can see, I'm looking at you. Looking all the way over there is at where the chat is. So I probably need to come up with a better way to configure all this. Let's see, can I pop that out? Oh, I can. I can pop out. No, that's not it. I should show you. Here, let me see if I can show you. There you go. Oh, we've got this infinite screen here. So this is what my right screen looks like. I've got my notes. I've got OBS. So if I get this, let's see, can I pop this chat out? Ooh, yeah. Maybe if I pop the chat out. Ooh, let's see. They're getting some real behind the scenes stuff. So let's see if I... Ooh. I need a custom thingy here. Do I have any? All right. Quick. Wow, this is really a mess. Quick tip and trick. If you... Sorry, down here I have my Stream Deck. Power toys. If you have a PC, like if you just saw when I tried to click and drag here, there's preset like layouts. Fancy zones in power toys. Let's see if I get this up. Here we go. Is you can make custom layouts. So here we go. So I have this one here. Let me use that one, but I am going to edit it a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to bring this down like that. I'm going to bring this over. So you can have these custom snap layouts, which is really cool. So I'm going to save that, close that. So now I'm going to snap OBS. So here, I don't know if you can see when you hit the shift key. So I'm going to snap this into zone 3, snap my notes into zone 2, and I'll snap the chat. Snapchat, ha. Come on. Shift. Oh, come on. I thought this would be a good lesson. Wow. Again, showing you how I do things behind the scenes. What the hell happened? Why is my email? I don't care about that. Okay. Chat. Why is it not working? See, I shouldn't have screwed around with this. I should have just did my thing. Oh, maybe because this is part of OBS. Maybe that's why. All right, well, that's okay. Get my notes. I'm going to put them here. And I'm just going to manually stick the chat bar down here. Cool. Well, maybe that was helpful to you. Maybe it wasn't. All right. Either way, let's switch. All right. So we have full me and then we have side me. Perfect. All right. So let's get into the Unfck Your Ops training. So we're going to start with the playbook. What is the Unfck Your Operations playbook? These are the goals, the outcomes of the playbook. 1, to get everyone on the same page. 2, to execute projects with a system that people will actually use. Because I hear all the time, this is the 4th tool we've tried to implement in 3 years and it never sticks and nobody uses it. They still have all their side spreadsheets. So we're going to have one system to execute projects that people will use. 3, never answer, where is that thing again. And all without your constant involvement. As the business leader, owner, founder, COO, or operations manager of a small agency, we're in everything. We are in so much of the day-to-day. And if we can pull ourselves out of the constant involvement, imagine what you could do with all that time. Let's see, I'm going to move myself over a little bit. Cool. Now, what's the agenda? We're going to go over, I use UFO as a quick acronym. We're going to go over what the UFO transformation looks like. First I want to cover some unexpected lessons learned. I want to tell you a quick story about how I got here. Originally, I wasn't going to put this in because I thought nobody really cares about me. It's not about me. But I did it anyway. And the feedback was that it was really helpful because in this world of everything online is AI generated and this and that, people appreciated at least hearing my story and my background. Not that I'm just somebody here preaching this, but that I've lived it for real. So I think this story has some relevance. And then going into what the playbook is, and then would you like to learn more? Cool. So I like to do this before and after transformation because that's really the that's really the key, is that things are broken. So what can things look like once they're fixed? So right now we're firefighting daily, but after our ops are unfucked, we'll have strategies for crisis mode. Right now there's no consistency in how we work, but once we're unfucked, everyone's going to follow the same playbook, the same set of instructions. I hear this one all the time, especially with project management tools that have just become digital graveyards, that I spend more time figuring out what I'm supposed to work on than actually doing the work. That there's so many tasks in your PM system that haven't been updated, don't have due dates, don't have assignees, and things just get lost. So after, you're going to know exactly what to work on and in what order. Right? I love this one. I'm the only one who knows how to do things right. So I'm just going to hoard all the work. I'm going to do it all myself. And I'm not going to delegate. Well, after the transformation, work is going to get done correctly by someone else without you having to triple check it. And I have a story about this, a customer story that I can tell you in a little bit. And I can't keep working like this, right? How many times you go home and complain to whoever you go home to that I can't even. Well, after, you're going to have a well-oiled machine. Cool. So I really was thinking through this about who nails these concepts, who had that after column. There's got to be people and organizations who nail this day in and day out. So I had a aha moment that the key to unfucking your operations is consistency, precision and accuracy, and contingency plans. All right. So for our first lesson learned, schools, right? My 6 and 7-year-olds, when they go to school, they know exactly what to expect because their daily routines are extremely consistent and predictable. Now, this is their second week of school. If any of you are parents, I'm sure you experience the just bedlam of summer and lack of routine and structure. And I wanted to lose my shit with my children. And other parents who are business owners who I thought just had it all together, they would tell me the same thing. I'm like, well, at least I feel a little better that I'm not the only one. But sorry, that was a quick detour on parenting. But schools have nailed predictability. They have predictable routine and very, very, very clear expectations. Last year, my youngest was in kindergarten, and I was amazed at how a teacher can organize and control 20 screaming 5 and 6-year-olds because the expectations are very clear and they have age-appropriate systems. Very, very important there. So I think we can learn a lot of lessons from how schools operate. Oh, wow, that was out of order. But schools do the same thing every damn day. Here we go. The military, right? See, these are out of order. Damn it. But precision and accuracy. I feel like I need to edit these bullet points a little bit, but continuous improvement, unwavering support and camaraderie, and risk takers. I feel like those bullet points do not reflect precision and accuracy, but I feel like the key takeaway is if a military unit is not precise and accurate, people will die. Same thing with surgeons. People will die. So there are contingency plans. They literally call themselves brothers and sisters because they have to support each other, or there's going to be very, very, very significant consequences. So they plan and they prepare and they drill and they do exercises and they have fallback plans. That's why, I really need to update these slides. But we can take away a lot of lessons from the military there. This definitely needs to be updated. Next, first responders. They have nailed, this slide's in the correct order. They have nailed contingency plans. Excuse me. I was brainstorming some content ideas this morning, and one of the things that I thought of as a quick one-liner was that mayhem and bedlam is inevitable, right? It's not a matter of if shit's going to hit the fan, it is when. And the best businesses are going to have a plan to navigate that mayhem. Not, oh shit, we have a catastrophe, either we lost the files for our biggest client, or I don't know, we were planning a huge event where we've got thousands of people who are coming and the venue canceled on us, something. Not necessarily a prescriptive plan, but you've got a framework of how to deal with things. So for first responders here, they never have a normal day. Their job is literally crisis management. They have a plan B, a plan C, a plan D, E, F, and so on. And see, this is what I was talking about in the military slide. So I definitely have to fix that one. But they practice and rehearse, and they practice and rehearse to ensure flawless execution, because lives literally depend on it. Yeah, maybe I'll combine these slides. So imagine what if these groups ran like, oh, here you go. So imagine if these three things, schools, military, and first responders, operated like most of our businesses do. Schools would have all day recess. There'd be unlimited snack. Oh, this one's just for schools. Well, no. If schools ran without the structure that a lot of businesses run without, kids would have recess all day long. They would pick unlimited snack time and people would die. Right? So, okay. How does this relate back to business and to our playbook? If we translate this to business, right? Everyone is going to have clear roles, responsibilities, and expectations. Everyone is going to follow the same steps. And when shit hits the fan, you have a strategy for what to do. So what is the end result there? Projects are executed quicker, more accurately, and with less mistakes. All right. Cool. So my story. Again, not that you care, but I find that it does have some relevance. So you know that I'm not just here ChatGPTing everything and putting together a set of slides and acting like I know what I'm talking about. So let's see, what do I have here for my bullet points? I was a founder, Okay, I feel like these should have been clickable things too, but I will leave them up here. So I used to be the glue that held everything together. Let me see, sorry, I have my notes there. Don't have this memorized. When was this? Back in 2011. My dad and I both lost our jobs. We started a brewery. Some of you have heard this story. If you haven't, we can have a brewery chat one day. But we co-founded a brewery together, and it was a small business. It was a small operation, and nothing happened unless me or my dad touched it. There was the two of us. We had 3-4 employees, and if somebody was sick or somebody was on vacation, like things came to a halt because nobody knew what anybody else did. So I did what the budding project manager in me did before I had ClickUp or anything like that. I followed people around with a notebook, literally a 3-ring binder, and I wrote down what people did, right? And we prayed that we would remember how to do it next time. Wait. No, what is this? What is this story? Wow, I am awful at telling stories. I should just riff this. Because we were screwed if somebody was out. And we just prayed that people knew what to do. So, here we go. So to fix that, I walked around the brewery with a notebook and I wrote down what people did. Step by step. How to fill a keg. How to prep invoices and the truck for delivery. How to set up the bottling line with labels before we're going to label. Everything ran through my dad and I, and the chaos just felt like the status quo, but we were burnt out. It was crazy. Then after life at the brewery, I stepped into a director of operations role at a very fast-paced agency, and it was deja vu all over again. Everybody constantly reinvented the wheel. There were no playbooks. There were no SOPs. There were no handoffs. People were really, really smart there, but everybody just stepped on each other's toes because there were no clear roles, responsibilities, and expectations. So I was constantly stuck, like trying to do meaningful work, but all I was doing was firefighting. So one day I just kind of took a deep breath and, it really hit me that I wasn't building something that worked long term. I wasn't building something repeatable. I was just getting better at fighting fires. And I was really tired of being the only one who knew how things worked. Like, I hadn't quite fallen into the role I was in now, but I knew that this is how my brain worked. And I was tired of fixing things that were broken fixing the same things that were broken over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And I knew that if we built something that was sustainable and repeatable and processes that people would actually follow, then I could get off that chaos treadmill, right? So if you know me also from any of these, I talk about being a recovering perfectionist. So I tried really hard to stop chasing perfection and just start building structure little by little. So at the agency, I began to document everything. I began to create templates, workflows for how we worked, like how we actually worked, not just a pretty SOP that collected dust in our Google Drive, like real stuff. I built a scalable project management system that could run if I was there or not. Now I lean into ClickUp to turn everything in my system's brain into automations, dashboards, and repeatable templates. So 2 years ago, I finally found a way to eliminate the chaos instead of just organizing it in a better way. And I will be completely blunt with you. It was not easy. Every time I created a new process, I had to fight the urge in me to say, I'm just going to do it myself because it's faster and nobody does it as good as me. And I had to fight that urge. I had to say, no, I'm going to put the time in now, talk to the people who do this the best, get their input, right? When they have input, the buy-in is better. And I just had to be okay with that. But I kept sticking with it. I kept fighting the urge and writing down what I did and creating, automating, and templatizing. So I replaced all of those duct taped workflows with real systems that talked to each other. What just happened? There we go. In my own workspace now, I built a library of templates and SOPs that is always a work in progress that me and hopefully later my team can use. Or if I hire any contract marketing people, VAs, things like that, I will have things documented to be able to pass off. I use Scrum. Let's see if I have any other slides on this. Nope. Okay. So I use Scrum, which I've run challenges on. You've probably seen some of that in my content, but I use Scrum, which I know is meant for software development teams, but I use it for myself and sprints to stay focused and get work done faster. So all of this is not theoretical. I have lived it. I have been in the trenches, if we use the military example. I have missed client deadlines. I have been buried in all the Slack pings, right? Having my kids screaming at me, Mommy, I want my own snacks, or Mommy, I want more snacks. And with these systems in place, it makes all of it easier, right? So I feel like I have survived more shit shows than any person should, but I have come out of it in a better place. I have systemized and standardized my way out of it, because really there is no other way. And this playbook is going to show you how to do it without losing your sanity and by reclaiming your weekends. Cool. Alrighty. I don't think I see any chats, but a couple people with us, so I hope this is helpful so far. All right. So the playbook, this is the what, all right? After being on my own, well, not actually being on my own, since, 2022, when I started working with clients as a project management consultant, 3 main problems really became very clear. And these are the 3 core pillars that the playbook addresses. Process, right? Getting everybody on the same page, doing the same work the same way. 2, disorganized tasks and projects. So executing with a consistent system. So the problem is disorganized tasks and projects. The outcome is that you will execute projects and tasks with a consistent system that people will actually use. And decentralization. I know that I feel like I need a better term for that. But platforms, I keep wanting to go with the 3 Ps: process, project, platforms. Decentralization. And when I explain it, you'll know exactly what I mean. By decentralization, it's, we have a project management system, but people send me emails about tasks they need me to do. We've got Google Drive. We have OneDrive. Some people are managing projects in their own spreadsheets. Let's see. We've got basically like 17 different platforms that all have overlap, and there's redundancies, and you never know where the project documentation is, and you spend more time looking for things than doing the work. So decentralization is bringing, or the antidote to decentralization is bringing everything into having a single source of truth, right? You're still going to have multiple platforms, but you're not going to have 4 AI note takers. You're not going to have 3 project management tools and people managing things on their own rogue spreadsheets. You're going to centralize and bring everything together. All right. I don't remember if I had a workbook for this or not, but getting everybody on the same page for process. I like to borrow concepts from systemology. Let's see if I have there we go. I like to borrow concepts from systemology. I should put a link in all right, let me add that to my notes for today. YouTube Live, notes. What's today? 9. Oh, that's right. It's September 11th today. I meant to open with something about that. But, so let's see. 9/11, and I'll do systemology links. So, systemology is a book that I read a few years ago that is the system for creating systems. It's awesome. It is so aligned with how my brain works. So getting everybody on the same page, I like to borrow ideas from systemology. And their first step is to outline everything you need to do, the what, the very high level what has to get done. So if you pick your most profitable, or at least the way I like to frame it is pick your most profitable product or service that makes you the most money, and outline, and the blocks are small for a reason because it's supposed to be very high level and a very quick exercise. Write down everything from your top of funnel marketing, and if that word is too buzzy for you, just how do you get the attention of people who might buy from you, all the way through how do you get repeat business, right? Those are all of the things that you should probably standardize, right? So let me go back to my list. So every single touch point, right? So here is an example. All right, we're going to think about the processes that are the most common, the biggest pain in the ass, the most impactful for clients. So this is an example of your target client is homeowners with yards that are bigger than an acre, and your service is lawn mowing, however you say that, and landscaping services. So you're supposed to do this really quickly. What are all the things we need to do to get the attention of people who might buy? Then what do we do when that person has expressed interest? Then what is our sales process? How do we exchange money? Again, if you are a retail shop, it's as easy as somebody swipes a credit card. Or if you, provide SaaS services or long-term consulting, you may invoice monthly, whatever. How do you onboard that client? How do you deliver the product or service that you promise? And then how do you get repeat business? So this is just one way. There's a lot of different ways that other consultants will, or process experts will suggest that you do a process brainstorm. I like this because it takes you full circle, right? If you don't get the attention of people who might buy from you, you can't progress from there. So one thing that I have found though in my own work, and especially working with service-based businesses, is this delivery part right here. Like that, you could zoom into that and extract 20 other processes right within there, like the process of how do I deliver? But that's a conversation for another time. So that is how I like to at least start getting everybody on the same page, because I'm sure, let's see, what do I have on the next slide? There you go. So what you would do is next, you're going to take that list and you're going to then I have templates for all this. I can I can send. So yeah, I will put this systemology templates. I will post those links. So what you do then, again, based on the systemology process, is you categorize all of those things by the department. And you list who is the department head and who is knowledgeable worker. That means who does this the best. Who does, you could probably break it down by thing, but marketing, this, that, and the other thing. All right. So let's see, what do I have next? All right. So what I like to do from here is kind of rank or prioritize. And the next slide was a screenshot from ClickUp. But the way I like to think through this, because this is a lot right here, this could be very overwhelming because even in accounting, that's still very vague. Accounting what you do, accounting could be month-end reconciliation of the books. Accounting could be a process for calling clients who haven't paid you yet. This could be a lot, but at least it's a start for your brainstorming. So what I like to do here is ask myself a few questions. What are the most common things that we do? Because the more often we do it, it should really be standardized. Which one of these is the biggest pain in the ass? What is for me, accounting, I don't look forward to it. It's a pain in the ass. I hate it. And I hated it I still hate it, but I hated it because I wasn't familiar with it and I didn't have a process. But when I sat down and I outlined every single thing I had to do, it made it much easier. Another question to ask yourself is what thing causes, or where do we make the most mistakes? Maybe we make a lot of mistakes when the biz ops team is setting up a new project and onboarding a new client. Maybe there's a lot of delays and gaps between when sales closes the deal and when the project starts. And maybe that, starts a relationship off on a bad note. So where do you make a lot of mistakes? Maybe what process is the most impactful that if you fix will improve your relationship with clients, or what process internally, if standardized, would make the biggest impact on your employees or leadership, things like that. So to ask yourself those questions. So I like to put this in ClickUp. You can, I write my SOPs in a Google Doc. I have a template of that as well, and I've got it in a ClickUp doc. But this is how I like to organize it. So I use a status for, is the process needed? Is it under construction? Is it up to date? You can use the priority flag in ClickUp or whatever your PM tool is to rank all the ones that are needed on importance so you can prioritize doing them. And then I like to categorize them by swim lane, that's what I call it, or department. And I link to the Google Doc and I have the date that it was last updated. Now, what's nice about having this in ClickUp and not just having a Google Doc or a Word doc that sits and collects dust is that, let's say I write my accounting SOP and I hire an accountant to do my bookkeeping once a month. If they have questions or find a mistake, they can go into the ClickUp task, or again, whatever task management system you're using, and tag me in a comment and be like, hey, I thought of an idea to make this better, or I found a mistake. Why don't we correct it? So it makes the whole process collaborative. So when we write these SOPs, we outline these processes. Now everyone has an instruction manual for how to get work done instead of just winging it. So this is how we get to everyone knows exactly what to do, exactly how to do it, because there is an instruction manual. And I know that can sound very rigid and very time consuming to do. But this is where my story comes in. I have a client who owns a service-based business, and she's got about 100 field technicians, as well as I think about 9 or 10 office staff. And she was doing invoicing to clients, a lot of admin stuff on her own. And it was taking up so much time that she wanted to spend elsewhere in the business. And as we started working together, we had a meeting, and she came to the meeting super excited. She's like, Jacqui, I have a story I have to tell you. It's like, okay. She said, I wrote down every step that I do to get client invoices out to the client. that was redundant. Everything I need to do to prepare an invoice and get it to the client. And she said, I gave it to my office manager. And the office manager came back to me. And she goes, and I made her a recurring task assigned to her to do the monthly invoicing. And she came to me and said, I got it done. She didn't ask questions. She didn't push back because the owner had taken the time to write out the steps. And she said she was so confident in her office manager because they've worked together for so long. Like she didn't even go and check this was even the first time she delegated. She didn't even go and check the work because she was confident in the instructions she wrote and she was confident in the person she handed it off to, right? If you handed that off to an 8-year-old, you probably wouldn't be confident in their abilities. But since you handed it off to a competent person who you trust, she was so relieved and so excited. So that is really the power of writing down these instructions to be able to hand them off. Another benefit that I really like is this is a newer thing in ClickUp, but I'm sure you could replicate this in other systems. But if integrating Google Docs or even ClickUp Docs, having all of this documentation and processes written out creates a knowledge base that with the ClickUp brain and with the ClickUp agents, you've got an FAQ that instead of somebody coming to you, the business owner, or you, the HR manager, and saying, how do I submit PTO again? If it's documented in a process, they can look it up in your AI database, in ClickUp, and they don't have to come to you. People don't have to come to you with the same 47 questions all the time. So that's one of my favorite parts of all of this. All right. Oh, here we go. Here's an example of this is very relevant. Prep for YouTube. See, I didn't go back and look at these slides. So this is what my process document looks like. It does look a little bit different now. I have to admit I have updated it, but I say what department is this part of? Is it a sub-process? Yes or no? Because just do YouTube live. You got to break that down into smaller pieces. You have to prep what you're going to talk about. I have to do the day of setup, which is getting all my software, making sure my streaming doesn't fail, which it looks like I'm doing good. I haven't dropped yet. Awesome. So this is just one thing. So I explain what the SOP is, SOP, standard operating procedure, if you're not familiar. So what is it about? Right? You have to be very clear about why this SOP exists, because if you don't have a good case for why it exists, you probably shouldn't have it. So then what software or apps are needed? A lot of times, I'll put links. So especially in my accounting one, I can just click the URL and it opens what I need. And then all of your steps to complete the thing. What else do I have? There you go. See? The one I keep talking about, monthly accounting. This one is very, very, very detailed because I hate it and I suck at it and I don't like to do it. So I've got very, very, very detailed steps with hyperlinks to everything I need to do. So I could right now, I'm very, very confident in this. I could hand this off to a bookkeeper, which I really should bite the bullet and do because I hate it so much. I could hand this off to a bookkeeper who, to be honest, probably has their own process and probably does it better than me. But I at least have all the links to my accounts. Then they don't have to come back to me and say, well, Jacqui, what's your Bank of America thing? What's your this? What's your that? What's your MX? So there you go. Cool. So, ta-da! This is what you really care about. What are the results of this? What are the results of standardizing your processes? Everybody knows exactly how to do a thing the same exact way. Again, other examples, when I managed a group of project managers, everybody did their status updates differently. Everybody did it differently. And it was so frustrating because the whole point of a project management tool is that I could go into their project and at a glance know everything I need to know without digging through and playing detective, right? I told somebody recently that somebody referred to me as a project manager, or I referred to myself as a project management detective, and they thought that was really cool. So yeah, I don't want to be a task detective. I want to go in and I want to know what's there. So everyone does everything the same way and they know how to do it and they do it consistently. This I forgot to touch on, but definition of done. That is one of the things that is part of your SOP document is what is your definition of done? right? And I like to make another analogy with my children. They have jobs every week, and one of them is to clean their room. So if I just say to my 6-year-old, go clean your room, that's not very clear. That's not setting the expectation of what clean means, right? So the definition of done is your toys all have to be off the floor and on your shelves or in your bins. Your desk has to be cleaned. Any dirty clothes need to be in the hamper, and any clean clothes need to go in your drawers. So it could be a checklist. It could be a paragraph. But because that definition of done is defined, then if somebody completes the task, it's basically saying, like, I unofficially declare that I've completed this task to the expectation set. This sounds really official. And that I did it correctly with no mistakes. So if people do make mistakes or they do skip steps, you, instead of like me being an angry parent and saying, I told you to clean your damn room. Why isn't your room clean? Because I didn't define what done meant. So then you've got documentation to fall back on and say, these are the steps. Was anything unclear? And to be honest, if you create a culture that invites, disagreement's not the right word, but constructive criticism or questioning, because in too many organizations, people are afraid to question things. Like, I'm getting in trouble because I did something wrong, but the instructions weren't clear, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to get in trouble, right? This is the start of creating a culture of people contributing, right? I was just going to give another analogy. But you say, like, I don't know, however children turn out is like the parents like doing, not the kids or whatever. Same thing with leadership. Your people are only going to be as good as your direction and your leadership. So if somebody comes back to you and says, yes, I did make a mistake, but I wasn't clear on the instructions. Could we sort this out? You might go, aha, yeah, you're right. I maybe took something for granted, or I made an assumption. So that was really long-winded, but I love definition of done. And my ultimate favorite, stop answering the same questions all the time and tell people to go check the SOP. I'm going to get t-shirts made like that says go check the SOP. Okay. Next, task and project management. This is the second theme of Unfck Your Operations. So what are common issues? All right, let's see. We got 20 minutes left. What are common issues with task and project management? Inconsistent execution. I feel like I've kind of already touched on this. Another very common complaint and issue is I spend more time figuring out what to do than actually doing the work. And I have no idea what my team is working on. So this has got several layers to it. It's in the, like, me as a business owner, as a leader, as a doer, because you still have to get stuff done. I can't even find my priorities because, sorry, how do you get cheese stick? Speaking of kids, because everything is just so vague. But I also need transparency on what my team is working on. So first thing is to use templates, right? The first step of executing tasks and projects consistently are templates. So your SOPs that we talked about previously are the instruction manuals for how to get things done. What I love about this is a very natural segue. We can take those SOPs and translate them into actionable tasks. So in this example, we have write a blog article and we have actionable steps. So in my SOP, it's written out with more, with more color and descriptions and links and all of that. But these are my actionable tasks in my PM tool that can be assigned with due dates. That's really the difference. The SOP is the instruction manual. This is the assignments, assignments, due dates, and all of that. So you can translate the SOP into actionable tasks and templatize them. Because again, if maybe you've got several different freelance copywriters that you work with, and each of them, I guess at the end of the day, as long as they get you a blog article that you're happy with, I guess that's the end result you're looking for. But if you want their draft stored in a particular Google Drive folder, or if you want their outline done a certain way, or I don't know, now I feel like I'm micromanaging this. But this is giving you guardrails and a framework for every single person to do. The other thing too is to make sure steps aren't missed, because if I have an idea for a blog article and I just go right to writing, like I'm missing out on a lot of the creative process. Like I need to research what I want to write about. I need to get inspiration. I need to write an outline. And the outline will also be templatized, right? So you don't miss anything. You don't forget any steps. So that's another huge issue, is that in complex projects, balls are dropped because there are no tasks for them. Deadlines are missed because maybe there's a task, but there's no deadline in it. So for this lead magnet funnel template, I've got very distinct phases with very specific action items, because if I don't have this, I won't remember the order of operations, or I won't remember what to do. Cool. Now we're really bringing this all together. You link your task template to your SOP. This is the beauty of having your process library, your SOP library in ClickUp. So with a relationship, you've got your task. So my task is I need to create a lead magnet funnel. Well, how do I do that? I've got actionable tasks, but what is my instruction manual? You link to the SOP. When you click on the SOP, you have your instruction manual. Again, you can have that right in the task, in whatever your task management tool of choice is, a Google Doc, OneDrive, whatever. So you can link them together. So now there is no excuse for somebody to say, I don't know what to do, or I don't know how to do it, because it is linked right here. It is in the template. And again, a lot of this is behavior change. I'm going to say this again. A lot of it is behavior change. Behavior change, because people are so in the habit of coming to you and saying, I don't know where to find this. I don't know what to do. So gently be like, hey, did you use the task template? Did you use the SOP? And little by little, it will start to change. So another theme, well, not really a theme, I feel like a tagline that I recently came up with is that, you are not broken, but how you work is broken, right? Your tools, so many people tell me, like, just ClickUp doesn't work for me, right? It's not ClickUp. ClickUp's not the problem. ClickUp is a fantastic tool. HubSpot's a fantastic tool. There's other tools that are awesome, but if they're not used properly, it's not worth it. So rest assured that you are not the problem. How you work is the problem. And this is how we'll get there. All right, Scrum Lite. I did a whole thing, a 3-day challenge on implementing Scrum. I know, I am technically a certified Scrum Master, but in full transparency, that is just on paper. I've never led a Scrum team. I have consulted with Scrum teams, but I love the concept. And there is a book that I should link. It's called Scrum, Doing Twice the Work in Half the Time. And it explains how Scrum can be applied to any industry, not just technical industries and software development teams. So I need to quickly get through this. I need a better timing system, but I'm calling it Scrum Lite because it's not full-blown software Scrum. So going back to one of the common issues is that I have no idea what to work on because I'm just constantly searching through my work for priorities, right? So Scrum Lite is for teams that have constantly shifting priorities or where it's very hard to find your priorities, right? So as a group, you prioritize your projects and you get shit done in very small chunks. And those chunks are called sprints. And sprints are typically 2 weeks, no more than 4 weeks. And all of your work is planned in advance. So in true Scrum, you plan for 2 weeks and you do not add anything else to your plate. You lock it in, you put on blinders, and if anything else comes up, you put it into your backlog, which is your collection of things to pull from to work on next time, and you assess it in your next 2-week cycle. Because this comes back to firefighting, something may seem urgent right now. Right now, there's a fire, but we've already made a plan. Let's put it in the backlog and come back to it. And usually by the time we come back to it, the fire's already gone. And if we had derailed ourselves in the moment, we wouldn't have gotten anything done. So what's that? Second to last bullet point is daily stand-ups. One of the core parts of Scrum is a daily stand-up where you meet with the team 15 minutes, no longer. If it goes longer, you're not doing it right. Where you say, every person says, what did they get done yesterday? What am I going to do today? And what is blocking me from getting those things done? And at the end of those 2 weeks, you show off what you have gotten done. All right. So what I love about, I say so too much before I talk, but Scrum is built for structure without micromanagement. If you get Scrum working well, the team takes care of themselves because there is structure, there are expectations, there is a framework. So everybody is working within the same framework. There is nobody working, rogue. Everybody's marching in the same direction. And it takes all of the guesswork out of what am I going to do today, which is my favorite part because I get distracted way too easily. And bonus, because most of us are not software developers who have one hat to wear and all we do is write code all day, right? As business owners, as leaders, we wear a bajillion different hats. For me, I've got admin and operations work. I have client work. I have marketing work. I have sales work. There is time where I want to just research things and improve my systems. So in ClickUp, that's what my swim lane is for. I time block for the different types of work that I want to do. Cool. So this is it's just some screenshots of how I have Scrum set up in my workspace. And I do have a template of this from when I did the Scrum Challenge. I can link also. Excuse me. See, I didn't prepare in advance. So I'm going to give you my systemology templates. I'm going to give you my Scrum Lite template. Cool. So this is what it looks like. You've got projects and all of your projects go in a backlog. Again, a backlog is just a place to put work that you will consider in the future. And the other goal of, or I shouldn't say another, one of the main goals of Scrum is to have as little work in progress going on at the same time as possible. You don't want to, and this also helps you to limit having 7 to 12 projects going on at once that you never finish. Because I was in that boat before, and I would start something and I would not have clear steps for myself, and then I would get distracted, and then I would never come back to it, and then I ended up with 12 open projects and none of them got finished. So if you were disciplined in this, it limits your work in progress. So you prioritize everything based on impact, urgency, and effort. So your impact, the way I like to think about impact is, why am I losing my train of thought? The way I like to ask myself this question is, what is the most impactful thing I can do right now to move the needle in my business? And I hate move the needle, but I can't think of anything else to say. Whether it's for clients, whether it's for my own internal operations, what is going to bring the biggest value or what is going to have the largest impact if I complete this in the next 2 weeks? And things will shift. This is why I love this system, because I may add something to my backlog. And at the time, so this is ranked, 1 to 5. So at the time I put this in, something might be a 4, like pretty high. And I add more things to it as I think of them. And when I come back to do my sprint planning in the next 2 weeks, maybe one of my other ideas is a higher priority, will have a bigger impact. So you can change these numbers. So urgency is literal time deadlines, right? So what's today? Today is September 11th. As an example, fellow business owners, quarterly estimated tax payments are due on the 15th. That is an urgent thing, because if I don't submit my quarterly tax payments, I may be in trouble with the IRS. So not urgent, like, oh, the client's yelling at me, but does this have an actual hard deadline that if I don't get it done, there's going to be real consequences? So even on mine, like doing ICP research for my ideal client profile, technically it's not urgent because technically there's no deadline, but I was kind of using that as excuse me, my own priority ranking there. And the crash course, that's kind of what we're doing right now. So I guess I took these screenshots way back when I put together this. And then effort is the amount of, time input that this is going to take. And then I have a formula that ranks these. So this is where it takes the thought out of it, right? Of what should I work on, right? It's sorted by the score. So if I've done the thought and I've done the planning ahead of time, I know what I should work on, right? And we do the same thing for tasks. Do I have a slide on that? No. So when we decide what projects we're going to work on in the sprint, I do the same impact and urgency for the tasks. That way, into my sprint goes only the most important tasks that I know I can commit to. And they have also been scored with impact, urgency, and effort. So when it's time to sit down and work every day, I don't have to sort through every task in my system. I have already pre-selected what I'm going to work on, and it is in order of priority score. The less my brain has to work, the better. So I hope this is starting to come full circle, that you are not broken. How you work is broken. You are not broken and your tools are not broken, but how you work is broken. All right, we got a couple more minutes here. So this is my dashboard. The other thing I like about Scrum is it kind of gamifies everything, at least for me. I get excited when I took this screenshot, let's see, it was sprint 6. I'm in sprint 16 right now, or 17. Whoo! What I love about this is you get better at it every time. I used to overload my sprints and be way too optimistic with what I could get done. So it helps with your planning too, because we all have way too much on our plate. But with ClickUps especially, you can see a trend line over time of how much work you get completed in a given sprint. You can estimate that in time estimates or in sprint points. I won't get into sprint points now, but you can see a trend line of how much you get completed. So then you can more accurately plan for the next time. For me, I usually average like 26 to 30 points completed per 2 weeks. So if I try to throw 50 points worth of work into my next 2 weeks, I know it's not realistic and I know I'm going to set myself up for disappointment. So Scrum does not take into account if you don't get work done. It doesn't penalize you. It's just adding together the points that you do complete. So I love this dashboard because I like to see my point improvement every week. And I've got it in a spreadsheet where I calculate my percentage of productivity increase every week, which is pretty fun. All right, so what are the results of standardizing your task and project management? 1, projects are completed twice as fast without needing more people. And again, I don't have data on twice as fast, but that's what the book says. Less mistakes are made because you have templates to follow. Everyone knows what everyone else is working on because when tasks are assigned to people with due dates, you have visibility and you have real accountability in group projects, right? And accountability is not pointing fingers at somebody when things go wrong, but it's about planning in advance who is going to do what, assigning the tasks and having visibility. All right, so the last thing, decentralization. I got a minute, but I'll wrap it up quickly. Decentralization is, where is that thing, right? And what does this look like? Communication is like a game of telephone with drunken toddlers, right? Unfortunately, I have dealt with this internally in working companies and with clients where I'll be working with a client and the primary stakeholder of the project will tell me, you got to work on this next with this team, but nobody talks about it internally. And then it's, well, he said this, but no, he told me not to do that. And then it's just, so communication, whether it's talking about priorities or initiatives, communication of where is that doc, again, this is all coming back to projects, but are you storing your project documents are they stuck in somebody's email? Are they in Google Drive? Are they in Notion? Does the client have a shared folder that you're working out of? The time that it has taken me, and when I'm working with a client and our project documentation is not all in one place, or is that doc in my workspace or their workspace? Like, it drives me nuts. So decentralization is just that scattered brain of everything you need, right? So when this happens, balls are dropped, work gets duplicated, and deadlines are missed. All right, we're almost at the end. So how do we fix this? We do a tech stack audit. I found some research done by somebody or a company that had way bigger budget and who was way smarter than me. And they said the average company has 125 apps. I could not believe that. They said the average employee uses 11 of them. So I did this exercise with a client. I said, list out every app that you have, that you use, right? What department is it for? What is its purpose? How the frequency is how you pay for it. The cost each month, each year, whatever, and what is your total? Then you can assess, I feel like I should zoom in on this. Do I love it, hate it, meh? Do I keep it, toss it, and notes? So the way that I recommend doing this is getting out your bank or credit card statement, because a lot of times you don't realize I tried to sit down and just think of every app I use every day, and I couldn't, which was probably a bad thing. So I went through my credit card statement, and again, this is not real. This is just fake stuff. Let's see what else is over here. So you go through your credit card statement, you write down everything, and you assess. The other thing is free things, because right now I'm struggling with this, is trying out new AI tools. Perplexity, ChatGPT, Gemini, ClickUp Notebook LM. There's so many places, and I only pay for one of them, but if I'm working on something, client project, an internal marketing thing, I constantly have to ask myself, did I have this conversation in ChatGPT? Did I have it in Gemini? Is it in Perplexity? And it drives me nuts. It absolutely drives me nuts because I don't know where to look for things, and it's frustrating as hell. So free things are good to assess in this also. All right, so for your tech stack, it's not just about bleeding money. It's about time spent, frustration, and things being missed or dropped or lost. So do you have 5 tools that do the same thing? Can you reduce them? If you have tools that do similar things, could you combine them? Things like that. And I know I preach ClickUp a lot, but ClickUp is great at task and project management. There are a lot of companies try to make ClickUp do things that it's not meant to do in the name of consolidating. That I don't recommend. Use the right tool for the right job. All right, cool. So what are the results of consolidating your tech stack? So again, this statistic was from the research that said the average app cost whatever, and by reducing it, so if you only use 11, I did the math, reducing your spend by 91%. Like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. You know exactly where to find things because there is one tool for each thing. All your docs are in one place. All your again, are we going to communicate in Slack or in Teams or in email or in ClickUp? Like, pick one place. And then all of your project details, updates, documentation is all funneled into one place. Is that the end? That is the end of the presentation. Awesome. So those are the 3 pillars of the Unfck Your Ops blueprint: process, projects, and platforms. So these are the things that we're going to tackle in the Ops Lab, which is the free membership for service-based leaders and business owners. And the Unfck Your Ops is the paid version, where we're going to have monthly challenges, weekly office hours. So for the first 10 members of Unfck Your Ops, get founder pricing, which is going to be $95 a month. And after that will be $149. I did not prep this. I have no slides, nothing here. But $194 one night, 145 a month, I think. I think so. So, yeah, the premise is, well, I shouldn't say the premise is, I just talked about it all, but you're growing, and adding more people is not going to fix it. It's just going to expose the cracks and, amplify the chaos. You're playing whack-a-mole. You're too scatterbrained. Your team is super talented. You are very smart, or you wouldn't be where you are. So I'll say it again. You are not broken, and the tools are not broken, but how you work is broken. And let's work together to fix that. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that you've learned a little bit. I will put the links in the video description for the templates, for the systemology template, for the Scrum Lite template. And if you're interested in learning more about Scrum, I have the replays of the Scrum 3-day challenge. You can hop into that, is for free. And let's see what else. That's really it. So what do I got? That's really it. I got way too many things in my notes, but that's really not important. So we are, 6 minutes over on the live stream. I'll have to tighten this up for next time, but we had no technical difficulties. I didn't drop. So I'm very, very super excited about that. Thank you for joining. If you have topics you'd like me to cover in a future live stream, there should already be a link in the description. And starting next week, starting September 18th, the time is moving. I had another commitment I needed to shift. So it's going to be at 12 Eastern, which is 9 Pacific. So you can join me with your morning coffee. You can join me on your lunch break. I'll probably have to keep it to 45 minutes, but that will help me be more succinct. So it is Thursday. It is Friday Eve. What can you do today to be a little bit more productive? All right. I'll see you later.